Hello, and welcome to Masters of the Forge, episode 144. Once again, it is summer. It was 95 degrees and humid today here in upstate New York, and, well, I hope you understand that this is a non-optional fan on my face day. So, the sound may have a little rumble underneath. And of course, once again, we're going to be using some NPR style tone of voice, because Quinn is very upset that we also have our own lives. So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we are trying out Zencastr for the first time because we're sick and tired of Bull. I believe that Jason will echo this statement.
Yeah. I wanna try this out, see what's happening. It seemed to work well with the guys from the Great Crusade, so let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens, and anything we can do to avoid mishaps and improve our sound quality is A-okay with me.
Yeah.
Now, don't mistake my tone of voice with approval or happiness with anything. It's simply the fact that I can't talk loud. All right. So,
we'll see how long this lasts.
Yeah. Hobby progress. So,
all right.
I've been doing some repainting. It's really the good thing to do when you're I'm still a little daunted by the Blackstone Fortress models in these two warbands for I don't even remember what the game's called. Warcry.
Warcry, yeah.
So I've been doing some repainting, so I picked up I grabbed all of my Scar Boys. So that's 28 models. Two of the big Shooter Boys ended up getting they were redone as I believe tank bustas, or I put them in the crew compartment or in the gunnery compartments of trucks. Either way, they're gone now.
Yeah.
So a unit of 30 boys is 28, and I just didn't bother building two new ones to make a 30 menu. Whatever. It's good. It's good, clean American fun. So, what I did was anybody who could fit another shoulder pad got another shoulder pad. So, I used to run them as Ard Boys. You used to be able to give them 4+ armor save for like 4 points, which was ridiculously expensive, but whatever.
Yeah.
So I wanted to continue at least the motif, the Jason motif, and add a shoulder pad. Now, some of them, if they have their arms raised, it's a little harder to add a shoulder pad, so I just don't even bother. And then I painted all the shoulder pads blue. And I repainted a lot of the yellow and added another highlight to the flesh to really make the skin more vibrant, as I've been doing with most of my other repaints. Not only that, but these guys got all new bases, so I ripped them off their bases and put them on 32. So a lot of them were broken, so I had to give some of them new arms.
Yeah.
Some of them had ridiculous arms. When I made them, I've been using these in almost every one of my orcs lists since like 2011. So,
wow.
Yeah, they've been through a lot.
Everything.
Yeah, so there were some really questionable bits on some of these guys. So I removed some arms.
Yeah.
However, the cool thing about these guys is a lot of them are rocking pistols akimbo, like they're rocking two sluggas.
Yeah.
Which is adorable. It has no effect in game, but
no, it just looks cool.
It just looks cool. I love these guys. So I'm really happy to have kind of my signature boys unit repainted to a much higher standard than they were before, and they'll be rejoining my army for the blue and yellow squads.
Oh, cool.
I painted 3 more models for the 100 Marine Freehand Challenge, which the 1 Hour a Night folks are doing. A white Minotaurs, which is a gold scheme with red shoulder pads and a white bull head on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Black Consuls, who are cool. Their chapter insignia is not cool. But that's fine.
Is that the quartered with the Omega sign, or is there another one?
No, that was a different one.
Okay.
Actually, this one wasn't too bad.
Okay.
The real bad one was the Death Specters. Screw those guys and their stupid double scythes with a skull on it.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
What's funny is the lore on them is really quite fascinating.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
We did a whole episode on that back in the day.
Yeah.
Were you on the show when we talked about Death Specters?
I'm trying to remember. I may not have been on the show, but I think I helped write notes.
Yeah, you may have done editing at that point.
Yeah, because I remember being really excited
that's a cool chapter.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are out in the Ghoul Stars, and they have the big crystal throne that they conduct the chapter's machinations from.
That's one of the things I've wanted us to look at, but there's not a lot of info. Is the Ghoul Stars.
Yeah.
It sounds so cool and fascinating, but there's nothing out there,
which makes it ripe for doing your own thing. I think, which is nice and maybe part of the point.
Yeah, probably
could be. Would be nice to hear more about it, though.
Yeah.
I started so after having my army on Warhammer Community page, everybody really had some nice comments about my Thunderhawk.
Yeah.
But I also felt a little guilty that it wasn't as well painted or well modified or well kit bashed as the rest of my army.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that it got a lot of positive comments. So I started a rebuild. I ripped everything off it, practically everything off it.
Right.
And started doing some kit bashing. I built the cargo containers, the Imperial cargo containers the other day to go underneath. There are 3 in the kit, so I think I'll leave 2 enclosed. I might actually cut one of those cargo containers and put some orc boys with big shooters in there to kind of represent the fact, like a troop transport gunship, to use it as a regular Thunderhawk.
Yeah.
I also, John, a long time ago, gave me a Basilisk cannon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
So I already had a Top Gunner on there with 2 big shooters, so I basically just glued him to the front of that and did some black magic, and now it has a big battle cannon on the top.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because I think John's going to give me the battle cannon from his Thunderhawk, so I might end up having to rip that off already, but that's fine.
Well,
or I could just use that battle cannon for something else entirely.
Or you could just connect it to the bottom of the ship so that there's more DACA.
You know what? You could always use more DACA, right?
Yeah, it's the orc way, man.
Yeah. So the cool thing is, Colin is sending me some extra parts he has.
Thank you, Colin.
Yes, Colin. Yeah. He's sending me today. He sent them out in the mail. 2 wings. The wings from another Thunderhawk. I think they did something else with their Thunderhawk. It was like us. He found his at a fire sale at his FLGS.
Yeah.
So he's got the 2 wings, and he's also got the 2 gun wings.
Ooh.
From the regular Thunderhawk, which I think normally have 2 las cannons on them. It's got some. He had 3 engine parts, which I think the regular Thunderhawk has a single engine in the rear,
Yeah.
which this one does not. So I'll just have an extra engine, which is fine.
Well, it's orcs. I mean,
Yeah, well, I already used the ankles from the Stompa kit. Because if you recall, the Stompa I had, I made into a Lord of Skulls. So the feet are still not being used. So I used those ankles as thrust nozzles on the lower at 2 engines.
Mm-hmm.
And I had something that I used for the intake on those too. So or did I? Well, it doesn't matter. I'll still have to kit bash the engines because I'm going to take those 2 big wings and I'm going to put them up there as yet more wings on this thing. It's going to be brutal. I'm really excited. I'm going to take the airbrush to it and get it and do it up real nice with some black undercoating. Like I'll do the black shadows and the blue. It's going to look really good. Which means I kind of wasted your decals that you gave me, but not really, because everyone will always know that they were there. They're there. They're still there under the paint, which is really nice. It'll still have. I'll know that the Ultramarines and the Blood Ravens decals are still on that model, just under coats of blue paint. So that's good. I took the time to catalog what's left to paint and repaint on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And I did a report on my 2020 and quarantine roundup on my blog. So it's sometimes really nice to have a look at kind of what you've been working on and reflect on what you want to do going forward.
Yeah.
This year so far, we're halfway through the year now.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you consider the holidays really don't count. New models, I've painted 6,740 points and 316 models.
Yeah.
I've repainted 932 points and 63 models.
Wow.
So all total, if you want to count everything, it's 7,600 points.
Yeah.
And 380 models about.
That's a ton. That is a ton.
Now, I actually, for the first time, cataloged what needs to be repainted from my orcs.
Uh-huh.
I have put some orcs in retirement. My war buggies, my old war buggies, and my big guns are all in retirement for now. Because not only are they not matched play legal, which shouldn't matter to us, but they're also kind of not. I wouldn't say the war buggies are not fun to play, but they're not as fun to play as the new buggies.
Yeah.
So even if I were to use something in narrative play, it would not be the old war buggies. It would be the new war buggies.
Yeah.
So having said that, I still have about 8,000 points left to repaint of my orcs. This Thunderhawk obviously will knock out a huge chunk of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still quite a bit to do. But I'm looking forward to it, actually. The more I think about it, the more happy it makes me that it's possible that maybe by the end of the year or sometime next year, I'll have a fully cohesively painted orcs force, all kind of in a more modern scheme.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel really good. And it's fun. It's not like, when you're painting a new model, you have to slog through those blocking coats.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that with the repaints.
Yeah, it's just highlighting essentially.
It's just adding other layers of highlighting.
Yeah.
Well, the blue not really, but still it's not as hard as starting from scratch.
Right.
It's kind of just doing the fun part over again.
Yeah.
So I listen to Nefertata,
mm-hmm.
which was okay. The first few chapters, it was by David Annandale.
Yeah.
The setup was really interesting where he kind of started out with a war that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And since you didn't really know any of the characters in it, it made the consequences of the war not as important. I would have preferred more setup instead of that, but
yeah.
otherwise, it was a really great look into the mortal realms, how they're set up, and how the relationships work between the characters in the death side of things. I listened to the Saga of the Beast audio drama,
Mm-hmm.
and I absolutely loved it.
Who's
Another
that
one
by?
by David Annandale,
Okay.
and I absolutely loved it. I got a real appreciation for the Space Wolves in this.
Okay.
Because normally, so just as an example, when a traditional Space Marine captain receives bad news or
Mm-hmm.
challenging news of something something bad happening, like a bad turn of the battle.
Right.
Say for example, oh no, I guess they have a mob of Stompas that are attacking our position. A normal Space Marine commander would be like, my God, what are we going to do? Well, all we can do is stand up against it and fight.
Yeah.
Where Ragnar Blackmane's like, oh yeah, dog, let's go get him. I'm really excited about this challenge that I have to accept.
Yeah.
Like this is how the Space Wolves are, man. Like they see these challenges as just another exciting way to show how badass they are.
Well, it just gives them a chance to yell out "wog." So
Exactly. So
yeah.
I'm really I will not collect a Space Wolves army, but I can definitely appreciate people who do collect Space Wolves armies. Now, having said that, in the next segment, I may have some disparaging things to say about Space Wolves.
Well, no comment. No
But
comment.
we're all it's all said in the utmost love and respect.
I'll try to call them space puppies
The
or
last
space
thing
flea bags.
well, Phil, our resident Space Wolves player, calls them space corgis, which I believe is a D4chan thing.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. So the last thing I'll say is, remember last time when I said there's no way anybody's going to buy my my Emperor's Children? Somebody bought my Emperor's Children.
Cool.
I put them on eBay for $1,200, which is about what the miniatures would cost and the foam.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it sold for. Now it's going to Canada.
Yeah.
Whenever I sell something on eBay, I'm super worried about them asking for a return or it getting lost, even though it's probably not going to get lost. I'll be super paranoid until it gets there. So I'm not going to buy anything until then.
Right.
But I am super excited about it selling. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to get some foam.
Good idea.
Foam and for my Drukari, and I told Wendy I'm not really gonna. I just dumped it into our account. I'm like, I'm not gonna make a huge purchase right now. Just continue to be cool about me buying things here and there, and we can put it towards whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What's mine is hers. What's hers is mine. That's just how it is. It's. I don't need a windfall. I don't need to just go blow a windfall on Warhammer right now.
Right.
I did put up the Necrons that I have again on eBay.
Really?
But this time the Emperor's Children sold for quite a bit. So I'm probably, what I did was I'm going to try to recoup my fees, which I think are going to be quite significant with this army. And I put it up for like 400, which is still not as much as I put into it, but a lot of that army was bought with tournament winnings anyways, so
Yeah.
eh. And I'm going to put 50% going to Doctors Without Borders, so
Cool.
I thought that would be really cool.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's asleep.
Even better.
Yes, Queen. All right, Jason.
Okay. God, that was funny.
Over to you.
Me.
What kind of hobby have you been doing?
Well, it's been interesting. I've done a lot of hobby hangouts with you and Skip and quite a few members of the ICs community.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I met. Let me see. There was John, who's in Austin. There was Anthony, who's over in Virginia, that has the 3 daughters. Was that his name? See, I don't remember names, but I remember all the other details. I remember.
Pretty sure it's Paul.
Paul? Okay.
He listens to this show, by the way. So.
Oh, hi.
So you better get it right.
Well, I mean, I remember him. I know who he is. Talked to him.
I talked to him twice, so I should definitely know better.
Well, I talked to him twice as well, because on the second one I did with the ICs.
See, I forgot that you were there the first time.
Ah.
So I've known you for X years, and I still forgot you were there. So
I know. I feel bad, but I know that's how it goes. So I guess that makes it
okay.
I always find it funny when there are multiple Jasons in the chats, just because everyone just kind of looks, which one's he talking to? All right, so yeah,
I think it was Coach Dake, because
Ben was there.
He was the one that he was talking about. Oh, that's Ben. I thought it was Paul that was talking about his dad's Andy Griffith hair.
Wait, what? I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, okay. That's right. See, we don't know who is talking. We're terrible.
Well,
if you're listening to this right now, well, Jason was there. We know that. Oh, it must have been Strider who was Paul, because he's the one that had the Black Templars.
There was someone that had black. Okay, so the second one I showed up super late because I was listening to a Facebook concert, and that went up to I don't know, 12 people at one point. So I kind of lost, didn't know who all was there. So
Strider is an elite member of the ICs, so we should know better than to forget his name.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, dude.
Sorry, I'm like I said, I can remember that the other Jason had some really cool custodians, and he had a successor chapter for the Blood Angels. Yeah, and a bunch of dreadnoughts. Yeah. In fact, I said they remind me of Brian a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, Jason's dreadnoughts are super. That guy, his painting skills over the past just few months have skyrocketed. He's put in the freaking reps, dude.
Well, that's what happens when you hang out and actually talk to people and see what's going on, you know.
Instead of sequester yourself in a dark room and try and figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, we're going to run from there. Alrighty.
I am reporting this message because I am in this picture and it makes me uncomfortable.
All right, so let's see. My hobby, well, you know, hobbied with you and with Skip and members of the ICs, and then I picked up the Orcs Codex because I needed to do that if I'm going to run Orcs. Yeah. And I also picked up Engine War. I also picked up War of the Spider and the new Zote for Blackstone Fortress, which I'm not supposed to even get that till next week, but, you know, things happen, so...
people are nice.
Yeah, people are nice. I built the Zote. I looked at it and went, that's about a 15-minute build. No biggie. 45 minutes later, I finally finished. I was like, yeah, that was... It's one of those push fits, and you have to be super careful because some of those posts are longer than they need to be. And so you could get gaps super easy. And that was really the issue I was running into. And in fact, I think I was looking at it a little bit earlier, and I think there might be some gaps that are going to show up whenever I prime them. So I'm a little... Anyways, it's cool, though. I've got a Zote. He's going to go through and put him in my Inquisitor's Warband. I also have to go back and reread the Zote lore
Hmm.
because,
Yeah, it's a little more nuanced than
yeah,
well, and there's so much like uh, there were lots of changes with Zotes,
yeah,
even in the early years, and then you had a bunch of apocryphal nonsense go
yeah,
on from then until modern times. So I think did you get the rules for the Zote yet or
yeah.
no? You
Well,
did?
they're in the okay, so it's a Blackstone Fortress box, an
Mm-hmm.
expansion, and so it
Yeah.
actually has lore, it has rules and whatnot.
So I was going to say I would believe that lore
Okay,
over any of the nonsense that's happened
okay.
between the early days and today. You know what I'm saying?
So let me. I know this isn't our hobby, but we'll talk a little bit about that.
No, yeah. Well, we're a lore based
Yeah.
podcast. Let's do it.
Um. As I was reading it, really, they kind of come across as like a almost Indiana Jones type of race, in
Mm-hmm.
that the character is named the Archivist, and he's there on the Blackstone Fortress looking for Zote technology
Mm-hmm.
because the Zotes obviously were a high technological society at one point and probably still are. In fact, in a way, it kind of looks like someone read the Time Lords lore and went, "Hey, we can do this." I mean, because this guy's the archivist, he's looking for these materials from an ancient Zote named the Forerunner. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so that's kind of the vibe I got, that they're very technologically advanced, very sophisticated. Um, which I was not under the impression of that before. Like that they were, the old lore was what they might have been remnants from Tyranids or something like that, or they escaped the Tyranids, or maybe I'm just read different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd. I need to go back and check to see what the old stuff is, because the new stuff makes them sound like Time Lords, that they're
I
explorers, etc.
a lot of the stuff from like the early 2000s where they started removing models
Mm-hmm.
and they tried to do it through the lore,
Yeah,
like all the squat rule like lore and stuff.
yeah,
They just like, well, throw the Tyranids at it and it'll be
got it.
fun, you know. There's a lot of retconning. I would call it retconning. I would call it I would call it readjusting
Yeah,
for not being stupid with just throw Tyranids at it.
right. Well, it.
And how could the Tyranid? I mean, Tyranids are a pretty big and dangerous foe, but
Yeah, no one escapes.
galaxy is also enormous.
Yeah,
So to say the the Tyranids ate them all or whatever about any spacefaring species is highly suspect in my opinion.
yeah. Well, I'm hoping that they'll either a continue expanding the lore, or I don't know. I mean, it's just as I was reading it, it was just kind of an odd change. It was almost jarring, but it was cool because now I've got this tall Zote who's got some really cool weapons, who's going to be hanging out with my Inquisitor. Speaking of that Inquisitor, I finished painting Inquisitor Stag. And yes, I did name it
Sweet.
after Mr. James Stagg. I just need
Mm-hmm.
more work on her narrative because,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't figured it out. I was more of the let's try a paint scheme and see if this works. Hey, it works. Hey, I like this. Hey, this is like some of the best painting I've done. Great. Now I've got to go through and do background stuff. So
Now
that's next.
I want to know who's prettier, the Inquisitor or James Stagg himself.
Um. Well, that's a good question. I'm thinking that the Inquisitor, but I don't want to diss on my buddy James. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So we'll have to. I don't know. We'll figure that one out.
Okay.
So
We'll work through that together.
okay, we'll work on that.
We'll workshop that later.
Yeah. All right. So That model is painted and based. So I think I don't remember if I mentioned this on the earlier episodes. I'd built a Smash Captain because I'm just was trying to see if I could kill off that character. Because I know that like once I build something that it'll get nerfed pretty hard right afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So he's painted. He needs a base, some decals, decals, water slide transfers, whatever.
Water slide decals.
Water slide decals. There we go.
Water slide decals.
Decals are even better. So yeah, it just needs base, transfers, some more details. I'm not super happy with the cape, so I'm going to keep working on that one. Kept working on that Death Guard Praevian that I've been working on for a while. It's getting close. I just have been slow on it, just for whatever reason. All right, are we ready for orcs?
Wah?
We are. Okay, so since our last episode, because I started the notes early on this, so I remember what I've done. I finished building the 3 Dragstas. There are a lot of Tyranid bits in those last 2, just because of that game we played. I built 6 knobs on bikes. I built 21 war bikers. And, hold on. Okay, I built 21 war bikers. I'm still adding extra bits and gubbins to the models to kind of break up the profile so they don't look so much...
so samey.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue with the models is they are very much the same in a way. Like it's not true copy paste, and you can go through and break up the profile pretty easily. Yeah. But
the bits you've added have helped a lot.
Yeah,
I was lucky in that I had already built a lot of orc stuff before I picked up all those bikes, so I had lots of bits to change that profile.
Yeah,
swap some heads around, whatever.
Yeah,
the way I differentiated my squads was there's a front bumper.
Yeah.
So I did a squad with the front bumper, a squad without the front bumper, and then I had a squad of like second edition bikes.
Yeah.
So
that's a good idea.
It's not too bad. Don't buy any of those; they're terrible.
No, I'm not going to. I don't need that many more.
Yeah, no.
Well, the way I kind of differentiated it was I haven't finished putting them together, but like all the knobs, I have 2 groups of knobs on bikes. One of them have like a front headlight that's from the Necron bits, and I don't know what it looks like, a football. I thought, hey, that'll look good. And the others have like the big giant skulls for their front ends. That's how to differentiate those 2 units. But on the other bikes, I haven't figured out how I'm going to differentiate them just yet, because I'm still adding stuff. So what I might end up doing is, I actually like the idea of that front hood. I think that's a good idea. I need to go and double check to see if I can actually do that, because I've got plenty of them laying around. I know that.
Right. Yeah. Well, the work you've done with with those dragstas is so great. I love the close combat weapons you put on there.
Oh, the what is it? I added the scything talons from the from the gaunts. Yeah, that was really funny.
It's so great.
Well, because I was looking for it's got like a buzzsaw, and I was like, I don't want to put a buzzsaw on there. I did on the other one. And I started digging through what would be a cool close combat weapon. I'm like, why not this?
Well, you can't eat that part, right? So
right. I mean, you either use it to clean your teeth, because orcs got to be good in hygiene, especially with wad drill teeth. So just use them for something. And also got some of those nid bits out of the way, because I have, I've got some nid bits laying around that I need to do something with. So, but yeah, I just still need to finish breaking up those, breaking up the profiles and making them look like two different units. So yeah, let me see. I'm hoping to at least prime them by next episode. I mean, we'll see. I mean, they're all quote unquote built. They just need to add extra fun bits. That's
awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And the last thing I wrote on that is, what did I get myself into? Yeah, there we go. You're like, I know exactly.
WTF did I get myself into? You know,
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing.
All right. So, yeah, that's my hobby progress. Games
All right, let's get into
played.
games played. All right, Beyond the Fringe.
Hey, I've got stuff. Well, I haven't.
Go ahead.
Okay. I've been continuing to play combat cards through iOS. I don't know. They've been updating it. Whatever. It's a great way to burn 10 minutes while I'm waiting for something. I have been playing Afterlife, which I realize that's not a 40K game, but it's an old game from LucasArts from like 95. So it's like a sim heaven and hell. It's hilarious, and it's a great way to burn like a couple of hours at night if you can't go to sleep. So
excellent.
Yeah, Beyond the Fringe. Let's go to Beyond the Fringe.
Now, first of all,
yeah,
let's talk about Zencaster for a second.
Oh yeah.
If you're the person recording, by the way, it has a button for adding a timeline footnote.
Oh, really?
So it immediately creates a timestamp, and you just make a little note. So if somebody does something like I have to do right now, which is cough.
Okay.
Now it added a cough at 36 minutes, 11 seconds. I can type cough, and there it is. It's a beautiful thing. So,
that is nice.
It's so cool. Anyways, my actual Beyond the Fringe is new seasons of Great British Baking Show. So here's the thing. When Mary Berry left and the two awesome, they had a couple awesome presenters on there who were really nice and really cool. I was like, I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
This is stupid. They ruined my show. I'm not going to watch it. And I didn't even give it a chance.
Yeah.
So now Wendy and I had 3 new seasons to watch because I was like, I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try. And we watched the first episode and we're like, actually, this is not bad.
Yeah.
And we've just been crushing those episodes. It's been really nice. The thing about Great British Baking Show is that it's a reality television show about a baking competition, and all the people on it are super nice. Like, they help each other. Yeah. Like, if someone's like on the verge of tears because their cake creation is like collapsing, like, everybody helps, you know? Yeah. And it's so nice. Anyways, it's very wholesome. Except for the carbohydrates, you know, except for like the permanent damage people are doing to their pancreas, which is, you know, it's their choice, right? It's their choice. And I love it. Yeah. So give it a try, everybody. It's actually really good.
Well, I've watched a couple of episodes. I don't know if I've ever watched a full season, but I've watched it. It's hilarious. And there's a couple of GIFs that we won't quote directly from Mary Berry that are amazing.
Did you just say GIFs?
Oh, God. You're one of the GIFs versus GIFs people. Okay, fine. Whatever.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
That's okay. I don't like myself either.
This is the first time this has come up.
Aww.
All right. Anyways, you should start a Jaloom Spite Jits army.
Cool.
Go ahead.
So let me see.
What's your Beyond the Fringe?
So I'm Beyond the Fringe. I've been reading a lot of Warhammer books lately just because, I don't know, we're kind of living through a dystopia. I don't know that I want to read about a dystopia.
I hear that. Yeah, but you chose... Wait.
What? What did I choose?
Okay. Never mind. Go ahead.
So I'm reading.
I thought you actually were reading Ghost Rider comics, and I'm like, how is that going to help you escape the dystopia?
Oh, no.
This is something totally different.
Totally different. So I'm reading. I've been reading some books by Neil Peart of Rush. Just so you all know, I am a musician. I think we've basically established that.
Yeah, that's canon.
Yeah, that's canon. Yes, he was kind of a writer as well as a musician, and so wrote a book called Ghost Rider about some really kind of horrible things that happened in his life. Then Traveling Music, another one called Roadshow. And I really dig these books. I mean, they're interesting. They're kind of like travel books in a way, but they're kind of more I don't even know how to explain it. It's there are books about traveling, but he's talking about other things that he's thinking about while traveling. And I kind of, enjoyed that. One of the things I really enjoyed is he's been all over the U.S. and Canada, and, he's talking about my area, South Texas, the McAllen area, and he's also talking about upstate New York. Like, he was talking about Albany and Schenectady and Kenajahari, which is where a friend of mine used to live.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that's out in the middle of nowhere. I think it's like
BFE, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically its claim to fame is it's halfway between Albany and Utica. That's
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like exactly halfway, or maybe like a couple of miles off from halfway. But I normally don't read travel books, but his writing is pretty engaging and quite humorous. But I did like Ghost Rider a lot, just because he's basically it was him going on a motorcycle tour of Canada, the U.S., Mexico, and into Belize, and kind of talking about that and going through that part of his life. So good books. I could go into them more, but it would probably just get way beyond 40K. All right, are we ready for the next thing?
I'm ready for the next thing. Oh wait, hold on.
Oh.
This is the 9 Inch Nails Foley artist thing.
The waveform looks really cool.
Did I just wake up the baby?
God, I hope not.
I hope not. Okay, so here we go.
All right.
We are going to skip it this episode. We're gonna go into Engine War and War of the Spider and hopefully Pariah in the next episode. We'll talk more about that in the outro.
Yeah.
So let's take a quick break. What we're going to do is we're going to record. We're going to have already recorded a segment with listener Zane, and he has come on to talk about his Grey Knight army and the lore behind it and the genesis of his collection. That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. I really hope we have more listeners contact us regarding talking about this kind of thing, because I think it's a lot of fun. I wish we'd done more of it in the past. We've done it in the past, but not as much as I hope that we would be.
Yeah. And he has a lot of Dread Knights. Whoa.
Yeah, he does. So please contact us either through our email at mastersoftheforge.com, or no, our email at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com, or through the Facebook page, because we want to hear about your army. We want to have you on and to talk about it. And all right, so everybody stick with us, listen to that, and then after that, we're going to be talking about the the second half of the fiction for the Psychic Awakening. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay. Blood Ravens Chapter is a Facebook group set up and run by passionate fans of the mysterious Space Marine chapter. They have weekly features, regular competitions, and an encouraging community ethos designed to let people get the most from their hobby. Search for Plus Blood Ravens Chapter Plus on Facebook using the plus symbol if you're a fan or collector of these heroes of the Imperium. Knowledge is power. Guard it well.
Come here, boy. Get the ball. Aw, come on, Max. Get the ball. Mom, Max won't get the ball. He's lazy.
I think I know why your Zote is being lazy, Jenny.
Why, Mom?
Because you forgot to feed him his Zotabix today.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Zotabix contains all the nutrients and random animal parts a growing Zote craves. It not only provides our Zote with the energy it needs to play with you and protect our home, but it also keeps its chitinous shell fresh and shiny.
Oh boy, I'd better feed Max his Zotobix.
Yes, you had.
Zotobix is made in part from grade
Max,
A
time for
Astra
dinner.
Militarum post-engagement byproduct and is infused with 112 essential vitamins
No,
and
Max,
minerals
down.
harvested from your Zote's natural habitat, the finest desert ducklings.
Ah!
Zotobix is available in any shopping center on worlds where Zotes are allowed or where the Imperium's inexorable influence has not yet reached.
Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Well, don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 hour a night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 hour a night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det er ikke ei bikkje, det er en slags ting. Den imiterer ei bikkje, men det er ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said. Well, welcome back. As we promised earlier, we now have with us a guest, Zane. Howdy, Zane. How do you do? Welcome to Masters of the Forge. We really appreciate you joining us for a segment. Now, every once in a while, we like to have someone on. You could say it's because that we want to hear all kinds of voices on our podcast. We want to hear from the listeners. We want to get a broader understanding of the people who listen to our podcast. But if you are a longtime listener, you understand that it's mainly because Jason and I would like to take a few minutes of airtime to phone it in and steal content from other people.
What's funny, though, is that this is going to be a pretty big episode with the schedule.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's cool. So Zane, so where are you from right now, Zane? Or you could say where you're from and where you live if they're not the same thing. But yeah, where are you at right now?
Currently I live in Bertram, Texas, but I'm originally from Burnet, which they're like 10 minutes apart.
Oh,
I basically just moved to the next small town over.
Okay. All right.
Okay, is Bertram east or west of Burnet?
West.
Okay, so it's off 280. Sorry, listeners, I actually drive through Burnet whenever I go to Dallas on 281. Yeah, I don't remember where Bertram was. So it's to the west. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I added on the notes was, is it difficult getting in games where you live?
It's not too bad. I live about 40 minutes from a Games Workshop store.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's not terrible. Plus, I live with a friend, and I actually kind of tricked him into playing Warhammer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, taught him how to play, and then immediately went, hey, by the way, here's Magnus.
Oh, there you go. Then he has to play with you if you bought him presents. Yeah. That's shifty. Yeah, that's super shifty. I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wait, but you play Grey Knights, so there was definitely an ulterior motive there.
Well, when I first learned how to play, I was taught by my brother, and we split the Burning of Prospero box.
Oh, yeah.
So when he told me it was all Thousand Suns, I went out and impulse bought Magnus. Decided to go a different direction.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I live in an urban area, and I still drive 40 minutes to go play 40K because sometimes that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. Cool. So you say you first got into it with the Burning of Prospero box. So you've been in the hobby a fairly short amount of time, kind of like us.
Yeah. I think it's been 3 years.
Cool.
Maybe a little bit longer.
So you actually chose to listen to our show after we started? That's pretty impressive. Man, I can't believe that. That's great. It's good to know. It's good to know.
I actually started listening about a year and a half ago, and I just kind of binged most of the episodes. I was listening to 2 or 3 episodes a day.
Oh God.
Wow. You know, I accidentally started on my device. I started listening to the episode 1 when just on accident in my car the other day, and I'm oh my God, that's still up there. We need to take some of this stuff down. It's terrifying.
Yeah, but that was David Annandale.
That's true. He did show up. That was nice.
Yeah, and we love David. I don't know if David's listening, but
probably
big
not.
hug, South Texas. Yeah, probably not. But
well, you can give him a big hug from South Texas, anyways. He'll probably feel it. He'll probably cyclically he'll feel it. I just finished reading Nefertata, which was really good, and I just started. What did I start? I finished that one too. The Saga of the Beast, which we probably just talked about like 5 seconds ago in the intro, but whatever. It was really good. I strongly recommend it. So, Zane, what's your favorite thing? So this is like a 3-part question. It's like your favorite things, your 3 favorite things about Grey Knights. First one. We're totally springing this on Zane, by the way, but don't worry about pausing and thinking about it, Zane, because Jason told me before this that he's more than happy to go through the interview and cut out any pauses you may have. You could even say things like, Jason's a and he will go through and he'll edit those for you, okay? Zane, what's your favorite thing about the Grey Knight hobby, like miniatures and stuff?
I really like, it's pretty basic with them, and it's a fairly easy scheme, but it also lends itself to a lot of customization, and how you want to, the little details that you want to pick out or leave out, and certain models and.
Right. There's literally no shame. Listen, you don't have to defend your answer. There's no shame in saying they're easy to paint. No shame whatsoever.
But there's lots of nice detail.
There is.
In the Grey Knights.
There is.
Yeah.
You can pick and, like you were saying, you can pick and choose, right?
Yeah. Even the stuff that you don't, draw attention to, it still looks good with the rest of the model.
Right. Yeah. Just throw on a dry brush and pick the things you want to paint. I have definitely used that philosophy on multiple occasions. All right, cool. So what's your favorite thing about the Grey Knight lore? The direction that you went in?
So for my personal lore, my favorite thing is just kind of the naming of my characters. But in general, my favorite thing about the Grey Knights lore is how they're all, these amazing, powerful psychers, and what they have to go through to become Grey Knights, how it's even more intense than the regular Marines.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like it's Space Marine training and conditioning taken to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like the some people are like, Grey Knights are just little custodes, right? Like, no. Custodes are rebuilt from the ground up, right?
Yeah.
It's no big deal for them. No, the Grey Knights are totally reconditioned Space Marines. Like, they have a much harder time of it, in my opinion.
Yeah. And the fact that it's even being performed, some of them, 10-year-olds that have just come in off of black ships and stuff.
The lucky ones.
Yeah, the ones that don't get fed to the Emperor.
You ever think that the Imperial tallymen on those ships are like, yeah, we could take like 3 of these 10 and it would be fine. The other 7 can just go. How do I pick? They're all kind of the same. How do I decide which one to pick? This one has a dumb name for a Grey Knight. Yeah, you're getting fed to the Emperor. Like, who are you gonna take? Dominus or freaking Liam? Liam's getting fed to the Emperor. That's all there is to it.
Wow. Okay. If we have any listeners named Liam,
maybe if we have, they're probably all British, anyways. Whatever. So.
Hold on, don't make me have to go through and do more beeping on this.
All right, Zane, speaking of Zayne, that's a pretty rad name. Kudos to your parents for that one. That was pretty sweet.
Makes it a little difficult trying to find souvenir stuff, though.
That's true, but normally I hate names that are spelled differently because you want them to be cool. Like, no offense to everybody out there, but Ashley spelled with an Leigh, get out of here with that. But Zayne, that's freaking rad. Anyway, so Zane, what's your favorite thing about the Grey Knight rules?
The new tides that came with the Psychic Awakening book. I really feel like it gives a much better theme to the army. You know, they're using their psychic powers to affect how the enemy can view them, or, you know, how they can target them.
That's awesome. And I think the most important thing about the Tide system is that it makes Space Wolf players super jealous that Grey Knights get their own special, like, unique chapter tactic thingy, where the Space Wolves have to basically use the same one as regular Space Marines. Making Space Wolves feel like regular Space Marines is probably one of my favorite things. So that's nice too.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
All right. What's our next question here, Jason?
Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. Do you run Grey Knights as a mono codex force, or do you ally another army in?
I usually run them mono.
Okay.
But I have added Space Wolves to them and Blood Angels in 2 different battles.
Cool.
Did you kill the Space Wolves afterwards?
Yes. The Space Wolves didn't leave the table.
Okay, cool.
That is fantastic.
Just want to keep it consistent with the lore.
I'm not happy until after each episode we lose a good 25% of our listeners. So, Zane...
well, no, that actually is in the lore, though, that the Space Wolves and the Inquisition does not get along, Grey Knights, so... It's
true. I just wanted everybody to know that you have no respect for Space Wolf players, that's all. Whereas I'm totally cool with them, and I didn't just go on a 5-minute tirade about how I love the fact that they don't get their own special thing. Anyways, so Zane, you sent us some pretty cool lore.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, before we get started with that, did this lore develop over gameplay, or did you imagine it, or is it like a mixture?
So most of it is based off of games that I've played.
That's cool.
There are a few parts where my buddy that I got to play Thousand Suns, where he would come up with part of his lore, and we kind of tied ours together. And so there are some parts that are just some of it based off of his lore, but majority of it is games that I've played.
Right. It's important to get foundational stuff so that the games matter. So that makes total sense. Like, some stuff is going to be just, okay, why are we fighting? Because maybe in the past we had this history. Okay, cool. Like, stuff like that, right? All right, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, every time that I sit down to play with somebody, I'm like, okay, we're doing this mission. Here's why we're both here on this planet, and here's why we're doing this. You know, I kind of do that before I play any game, is I come up with a reason why I'm playing that game, you know, why my army is there playing that game.
All right. So Zane, would you care to story time, the lore for our listeners with your beautiful Texas drawl.
All right, so let me get started. So it is the Brotherhood of the Round Table is my custom Brotherhood for the Grey Knights. The Brotherhood of the Round Table is a Brotherhood of Grey Knights that was founded between M37 and M38. Due to the Grey Knights' secrecy, only those Inquisitors who work side by side with the Grey Knights and the Supreme Grand Master know for sure when the founding actually occurred. This Brotherhood was founded to be a crusading Brotherhood to patrol the former home worlds of all of the fallen Primarchs.
So they basically don't really go back to Titan very much. They're just always on Crusade.
Yeah, they just go back when they're running low on battle brothers and supplies.
Okay.
Or if got heavily damaged in a void battle.
Right.
Okay.
These battle brothers all hail from Holy Terra, although none of them remember this fact because of the mind wipe that the Grey Knights must go through at the end of their training.
Mm-hmm.
The only reference to this fact is their Brotherhood's name being tied to the ancient Praetorian legend of King Arthur and his Holy Knights.
Nice.
During 999 M41, the Brotherhood felt a massive power coming from the Prosperian system, and they began the warp jump to Prospero. Upon exiting the warp, the power was gone, replaced by a slightly smaller one. When coming into Auspec's scan of Prospero, they found the vengeful spirit in low anchor. Knowing the knowledge that might still be on the planet, the Brotherhood descended down and began battling the Black Legion. After many weeks of fighting, Abaddon is forced off of Prospero, only for Magnus and his elite Rubric Marines to exit the warp. The already depleted Grey Knights prepared for a final stand, when Chapter Master Drygo emerged from the warp tear. With his help, the Brotherhood of the Round Table was able to defeat Magnus for the time being. In this battle, many heroes were recognized for their bravery, one becoming the new Grand Master of the Brotherhood and being awarded the title of Grand Master Artorias Pendragon.
Okay. Keep going. Sorry, keep going.
After this arduous battle, the Brotherhood returned to Titan to gather their new recruits. Being refreshed after this, the Knights immediately headed back to Prospero to ensure that the tyranny of Magnus would never be allowed back into real space. During several skirmishes, the Knights took on many foes, including foul denizens of the warp and other Chaos Marines. All was not lost, though, as Ragnar Blackmane and his great company was also nearby. Although his wolves fell to the psychic onslaught of Magnus and his 1,000 sons, he realized he would have to retreat, leaving his newfound allies to handle the issues themselves. As the Knights began to fail, losing battle after battle, hope arrived in the form of Brother Captain Stern and Grand Master Voldus, along with a portion of their own Brotherhood. After clearing the remnants from Prospero for the time, the Knights retreated from the planet to recoup their strength and head out to keep patrolling, as it seemed the fallen Primarchs were beginning to manifest fully in real space. After several months of warp travel, totaling only a few days in real space, the Knights came out of their warp jump within an unmarked system, where a Necron tomb world had begun to awaken. The world was also overrun by orcs, and a small detachment of salamanders were already on the surface. The Brotherhood of the Round Table, not wanting to leave their fellow Marines in a losing battle, came down to the planet to assist the salamanders in this great battle.
That's awesome.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna
go ahead.
Interrupt you there. First of all, that sounds like a really cool battle. Part of me just says get the salamanders out and let the orcs and necrons fight it out. But, I know orcs are going to have a great time, and, well, if they're necrons, who cares?
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, that's a really cool narrative right there.
Yeah, I really like that. Was that a game you played, or was it a setup for the next thing?
No, that was actually a game that I played. It was a 1,000 points each, and it was 5 of us total playing.
Oh, that's cool. That's really fun.
It took us, I think we played for almost 4 hours, and we got through 3 turns.
Wow.
And I love the name of your Grandmaster, Artorias Pendragon. That's freaking rad.
Yeah.
It's super rad. Okay, so moving on.
Okay. Unknown to the Grey Knights, they had been followed by Typhus and his ship full of Poxwalkers and Plague Marines. This truly would be a fight to challenge the worthiness of the Grey Knights. After many days fighting, the Grey Knights evacuated the planet, leaving the Salamanders to finish mopping up the Xenos as they kept on their way. Throughout the next several months, the Brotherhood helped in many small skirmishes, needing no more than 1 or 2 squads to deploy at a time, although coming out victorious in most of these, or at least dealing more damage to the enemy than what was dealt to themselves. These battles began to take a toll on the Knights.
So were these like kill team games or Zone Mortalis or just
they were kill team games.
Cool.
Yeah, we played a total of 4 kill team games.
Neat. Okay, neat. Yeah, I love how you're wrapping all of these games together that you played, and it's like you don't have to force it, right? If it just so happens that you're playing some kill team games with your friends, or your friends are excited about kill team, then why not wrap it into your story? You don't have to say, "Oh, we have to play kill team so I can do my story." You can do it like the other way around, right?
Yeah, that's kind of how it was. Is I got several of my friends who had made playing games actually into playing kill team, and because I thought the kill team rules were really fun, and they made for really easy narrative, building on narrative lore.
It really sounds like you're doing God's work over there, dude.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and continue.
All right. Although the Brotherhood of the Round Table had always been a larger than normal brotherhood, since they would spend so long away from Titan, they began dwindling below even normal brotherhood numbers. Unfortunately, they suffered some sort of comms interference when the call to go to Prospero came through. When they reached Titan, they found it all but empty. After quickly resupplying, they began the long, treacherous trip back to Prospero to reinforce the other brotherhoods, as they had been assisted before. Unfortunately, they arrived after the majority of the fighting had taken place, and were met only by the beleaguered force that remained. When the foul servants of Zeech began pouring out of the warp, the Brotherhood knew this was why they had been created. Grandmaster Artorias Pendragon climbed into his suit of Nemesis Dread Knight armor and began to rain the fury of the Emperor, beloved by all, down upon the filthy warp scum, destroying almost all of them before they were called away. Although the suit took severe damage, it was salvageable, and the Tech Magos are set to begin repairing it for its next use.
Nice.
Cool.
That's awesome. So I assume that this battle came after a hobby binge.
Yes, it did. This came about 2 weeks into quarantine. This battle did.
Yeah.
And my friend and I, we sat down, we played a game, and he brought a couple of battalions of Zeech demons along with his 1,000 sons.
Nice. And your Grandmaster. So, like a lot of people, you have a couple of models to represent your Grandmaster, your Warlord. The same thing. I have a few models or a few characters that have transcended from model to model based on their career, and the upgrades that they've taken or the damage that they've taken. I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to Crusade really amping up my hobby juices, because
I have a feeling that these characters I'm gonna need a bunch of models for my warlords as they take damage. And looks like Zog lost an arm. Time to either lop the arm off this one or build a different model.
I don't know about that.
Jason, you know me.
Oh, I know you. You'll do that, but on my stuff, I'm not sure.
You're not going to saw your arms off?
Well, I mean, considering how much I kit bash already, and sometimes it's kind of hard to find some of that stuff unless I start using magnets a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Zane, that's really cool. That's some really cool. Did you have more? I think that's all I had. Did you have any more to add?
I have the breakdown for the Brotherhood. Basically,
Okay.
you know, what's all in it when it's at full strength.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that too. And feel free to wax lyrical about, you know, the characters and stuff if you want to.
All right. So, in my breakdown, all of the main characters have a title given to them that is, you know, one of the knights from the Legend of King Arthur.
Nice.
This is basically like they still have their Grey Knight name, but they're called this instead of, you know, Grand Master or Brother Captain.
Right, it's a title.
Yes. So, Grand Master would be Artorias Pendragon. Brother Captain is Lancelot. The Brotherhood Champion is Galahad.
Mm-hmm.
And the Librarian is Merlin.
Duh.
Yeah. And then, so in total, at full strength, they will have 5 10-man strike squads.
Wow.
3 10-man Terminator squads.
Jesus.
3 5-man Paladin squads. 2 Apothecaries. A Tech Marine. 2 5-man Purifier squads.
Uh-huh.
3 10-man Purgation squads.
Good lord.
4 Nemesis Dread Knight.
Oh yeah.
Which one of those being could also be the suit that Artorias Pendragon takes.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
2 Land Raiders, 1 Crusader, and 1 Redeemer.
Nice.
And then a Storm Talon.
Cool. That's a little bit of support, a little bit of air support there.
Yeah.
That's super
I kind of see my squad as being more like my Brotherhood being more like they drop pod down. I know Grey Knights can't take drop pods, but they drop pod down.
Yeah.
Teleport down straight onto the battlefield, so they're not really having to deal with, you know, getting flown in, that sort of thing.
Like with the Storm Ravens and all that.
Which I'm sure that eventually I will add those in and when I get those models, but
right, yeah. What would you say is like kind of your dream model to add to the army right now, or I guess that's 2 questions. What's your dream model, and what are you thinking about adding next? You have a lot here.
Yeah.
So my dream model is actually the Solar Pattern Thunderhawk.
Oh yeah.
What's that one? Is that the super duper laser one?
Yeah, it's one that in the model description it says that it's large enough that you can put an actual rhino inside of the model. I want to say it's like $1,000 model, which is why it's probably going to stay a dream model for a while.
Yeah.
But, so that's kind of my dream model to have. But the next thing I want to add is either the Storm Talon or start working on getting the Tech Marine and finishing out the rest of the Brotherhood, because I don't quite have all of the models to have the full Brotherhood yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's your Brotherhood is how can I put this? Large. Yeah.
Oh, the Stormbird. Yeah, that thing is a monster. you could probably kill a man with that thing.
Yeah, that's right. It's not Thunderhawk, Storm Bird.
Yeah.
Right?
That thing is pretty big. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that would be really cool. But yeah, this is, and you own all of these models, or is this like just your canon, like what they have?
Right now it's just the canon what they have.
Okay.
I do have probably close to half of the models.
Wow, that's a lot. But they're not all going to be there at the same time usually. But that would be a quite the incredible
That's an
engagement.
Force.
Yeah, that would definitely be Apocalypse
Yeah.
Force. I mean, it's already an Apocalypse Force.
Yeah.
If we're being honest. That's cool, dude. This is what a nice army. You'll definitely have to share some more pictures with us so that we can put them up along with the show, along with the episode.
I'll get some pictures taken and sent over.
Nice. That'd be great. That'd be really great. So where is it that you play your games again besides your house?
There's a Games Workshop store in Round Rock, Texas.
Uh-huh.
That's usually where I play. It's at the University Commons there.
Okay.
I've been there once.
And so if anybody wanted to get a hold of you in the region to have some awesome narrative games, would you be interested in dropping your deets here on the show, or should they just drop in? Should they just drop in on the Games Workshop store?
I mean, most of my games are pickup games there at the store.
Okay.
But, I mean, I can. I think I've talked to Jason on my Instagram before, but I let you know my Instagram and whatever else.
Okay, yeah. What's your Instagram, dude?
Yeah, it goes that.
Let me make sure that I don't get the name wrong because
no, it's okay. Jason will get all of this in post.
No,
it's fine. Oh,
we're going to talk. We're going to chat while he
what kinds of words are we going to say while we're chatting?
Oh man, come on! Don't make me do editing. Come on, please don't do that to me.
My Instagram is Zane, spelled ZAYNE _Edwards _models. And that's just kind of where I've posted what I've been working on and
nice. Yeah, we'll be
that
sure
sort
to
of
follow
stuff.
that. You know, when I first got your message, your friend request on Facebook, I'm like, oh man, this guy from Texas. He's also friends with like some of my other Warhammer friends, but I don't know if sometimes I wonder if the folks that friend request me actually want to be my friend on Facebook, because my Facebook feed can be a little rough. But then I put two and two together, like, oh, Zane is going to come on the show and talk about his Grey Knights. That's cool. But Zane, I will not be insulted if you turn me off on Facebook. It's totally fine. But if we're ever in the area, I'd love to have a game with you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. That's
I
cool.
I haven't been to Austin in a few months because I can't go anywhere. So.
Right. You mean Houston or Austin or both? I guess you would go that way regardless, right?
I have to go to Austin. I mean, Houston and Austin are two different.
Yeah, but like I thought you said you passed them whenever you go to Houston.
No, I thought I said Austin because, I don't go to Houston unless I absolutely positively have to. Sorry, John. We also know in Houston. Oh, John, Jason. Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. For those of you from Houston, you know your traffic. You know why I don't want to go over there.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, you two should get together and have a sweet game. I mean, Grey Knights versus Thousand. Maybe Zane needs some vengeance upon, or vice versa, upon each other.
Well, that's possible. I mean, it is kind of amusing that the first chapter master of the Grey Knights was 1,000 Sun, but
Whoa! Did we just drop a major spoiler, or is that conjecture?
No, that's a spoiler. Well, it's a spoiler, but it's an old one.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, it's not like I'm reading the Horus Heresy. Come on, guys.
Well, no, it's from what was that big 12 part orc thing, War of the Beast.
Oh, yeah. You know
Okay,
what?
so
I still haven't read the last 3 books of that.
Okay, so the chapter master for the Grey Knights, turns out that chapter master was actually a Horus Heresy sergeant.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sorry, it's conjecture, but the name's the exact same, and it's
yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah,
It's
I love the. Go ahead.
Some spoilers, but it's also in Heart of Mortarion.
Oh, okay.
Mortarion uses it to try to break Drygo's will.
Oh,
okay.
How the chapter master was a traitor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good luck breaking Drago's will. I like the idea. I like the idea of the first game you two play would be like a trial of vengeance against one another, just because of the lore that Zane was playing with his other friend, but it's still the same story. That's a really neat idea. I like that.
Or we could just gang up on the Space Wolves.
That's true. You could just find a Space Wolf player in Austin somewhere.
I'm sure there's a few of them.
Oh, I'm sure, because Austin's full of hipsters, obviously. Anyways, boom, boom. That's a double burn right there.
Oh boy. Okay, I'm not
Well,
gonna
everyone, I sure hope that everybody was inspired by Zane's story. I know I was.
Yeah.
I love the idea of the Arthurian titles on the Grey Knights, and I love the fact that your lore followed your stories. It really added a lot to the show, and I'm glad we're doing these invitations to come on. Oddly enough, the next person's going to be a Space Wolves player, so there's not to talk about.
We'll see if he still wants to.
He may not show up. If he's smart, he'll make plans to show up and just not.
No. I'm not going to abuse anybody for Space Wolves.
All right, Zane. Thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it.
Man. Thank you, and we'll catch you later.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Hey Archons, tired of the boring predictability and efficiency of stuff that always works? You need the Slip Party Bus! Got an extra 473 points that you can't find a solid use for? You need the Slip Party Bus! You could spend 420 points on 3 reliable Lance Ravagers pumping out 9 Dark Lance shots per turn. That'll only give up 3 victory points, or you can drop 473 points on 2 Archons, 8 Slip, and a Raider for 11 victory points. You need the Slip Party Bus! The classic Slip Party Bus. Still awesome. Party Bus! Still hilarious. Party Bus! It's the Slip Party Bus! If you love the Slip Party Bus, you'll want to check out our other exciting products. We have the Rack Wiffle Ball Bat, the Trueborn, and the Blood Bride. Trueborn and Blood Bride models no longer available. The classic Slith Party Bus, still awesome, still hilarious. It's the Slith Party Bus!
Are you looking for a pressure-free hobby Facebook group? Hobby Streak. Are you looking for a community where you can keep your hobby progress on track? Hobby Streak. Do you want a Facebook group that focuses on all aspects of the hobby? Hobby Streak. Hobby Streak is a Facebook group for building, painting, list building, playing games, and everything in between. Hobby Streak. Post daily updates showing or telling about your progress for friendly and helpful support from a great community. Try Hobby Streak today.
This is David Annandale, and you're listening to Masters of the Forge, where they bring the world of Warhammer 40,000 to life on your tabletop.
All right, welcome back. I hope everybody really enjoyed the chat with Zane. I know I did. He's a really cool person and lots of fun. And hopefully we'll get a chance to have a game with him before too long.
Yeah, because he's in my neighborhood. Well,
yeah,
he's in Texas, which is
especially Austin, which is.
Yeah.
I've got family there, and you have a fairly not crappy drive to there, so
yeah. It's just the first hour north that's the worst of my drive because there's nothing 40 miles. For 45 miles north of me, there's just like nothing. Zero.
So keep in mind, we're not going to go too deeply into the plot of each of these, and some of them really don't have much of a plot to speak of anyways. Oh, snap.
Ooh, yeah, we're not going to talk about that one.
Here's the thing. When someone has the courage to put their art in front of humanity, we should at least be respectful of the fact that, they're given a brief and they write about the thing that they're expected to write about. So, you know what? Let's try to keep cool. Last time there may have been a lot of alcohol involved in our conversation. So we're going to do our best to maintain a level of respect. I just opened up a beer, so I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's when we get to like the fourth beer, that's when it starts getting.
Well, this is actually a local IPA that I haven't posted on Facebook for some of our California friends because they,
what?
Anything IPA, and this is a light IPA, so it's like extra heresy.
Okay, well, I mean, you had that other thing the other night that we couldn't see through when you poured it.
Yeah.
Chocolate stout or
oh no, it was just I still have the can right here.
Yeah.
It was a Old Man McMullen's porter.
Oh, it was a porter, yeah. It looked impressive.
It was delicious.
Yeah.
It had a lot of, I would say, vitamins. When we have a good porter or stout, it's got vitamins. So let's start with the Saga of the Beast.
Yeah,
that's where we left off. This is the Orcs versus Space Wolves Psychic Awakening book. The first story is from Andy Clark. It's called Call of the Wa. It's a story where a mob of orcs is experiencing the Psychic Awakening. Yeah. And they see the sky full of like weird green energy, and they talk about how even for the orcs, they don't like to look to the sky too much because it causes strangeness. Even for the orcs, who are well known for their psychic resistance, or at least if they are affected by the Immaterium, it doesn't really bother them.
No.
It doesn't. Not to say it doesn't affect them.
It just doesn't bother them.
It just doesn't really bother them. It's really lots of mad boys in the orc mobs, throwing psychic energy all over the place. And even the orcs aren't immune to visions. We've been talking about the Imperium experiencing, citizens of the Imperium experiencing visions of things going on throughout the galaxy or things to come, and the orcs are also similarly affected by this. But it's in their own paradigm, right? So they have visions of the greatest Wa as ever experienced, the greatest battle ever experienced, and it does end with the orcs setting off to find their destiny.
One of the things I was thinking about as I was reading it, it felt like it could be like the ending, like narrative ending of a finale of a Gorka Morka campaign. because it's two war bands fighting against each other to see who's going to be the war boss. And that was pretty cool. One other thing I really liked was it's told from the point of view of a Death Skull's knob.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah.
And he actually, at some point, it was really, I think Andy really wanted to make a point about lucky blue paint. Because at one point, one of the enemy, I think it was a knob, I can't remember, points his slugga at the Death Skull's character.
Yeah, I was like,
click, out of ammo. And he says to him, "Lucky blue paint," and he chops him up into pieces.
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, "Oh, this is so great."
Yeah, like the blue paint job doesn't just deflect bullets; it causes unlucky things to happen to your opponent's weapons.
Yeah, that would be kind of a. I mean, I think as I'm thinking about that, I think that's represented well in the rules. You know, here's that 6-up invul that shows up every once in a while. Yeah.
Well, it's not just that it's a 6-up invul, right? It's that when you're on a hot streak of 6-up invuls, your opponent gets super frustrated. It's really, really fun. And you can see the fact that maybe it is more like you're imagining the Space Marine bolters all jamming all at once. Like, what is happening? The machine spirits are angry.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really good one.
I thought it was really nice. Most of these are great for kind of exposition.
Yeah.
And the main point, it's the plot isn't really what matters. It's the exposition that really matters. Now, going towards the end, a bunch of them, the plot means a lot more.
Yeah.
But, so the next one is the Stand of the Saber. This one's pretty neat. We get to see the Obsidian Jaguars facing an orc fleet, and this one it ties in later. Some of these short stories are tying in with each other as we go. In the last grouping, we had a few like the Gene Stealer cult stories tied together. In this one, Captain Kualka is a really interesting example of a Space Marine chaplain. These Space Marines, these Obsidian Jaguars, are so beleaguered, racked with fatigue over this siege. So this chaplain has been in so many battles, he's lost his Crozius Arcanum, and he did so when he swung it so hard at an orc that it exploded.
That was great. That was a great sentence. Great couple of sentences.
So it was a really good, actually, this Callum Davis story. It showed the purpose of a chaplain, and when even in a Space Marine unit, you can start to have morale issues.
Yeah.
So, and it's not really fear, the fear side of morale, but the when you start getting fatigued from the constant wakefulness, the constant alert, you start getting into traumatic stress and stuff, issues and stuff, and that's what the chaplain's there for.
Yeah. And they talk about that in the short story about how the serfs have this kind of 1,000-yard stare. Well, maybe not 1,000-yard stare, but like, what was it? Yeah. Right between exhaustion and insanity.
Yeah. They're starting to unravel. So they've been conserving their whirlwind ammo, and they have a relic Sakaran Arcus tank called the Morkai's Roar that was gifted to them by the Space Wolves. After they had this mutual engagement where they helped each other. Yeah. But as the orcs press on, they're forced to unleash what remains of their ammunition, and they open up some secret sally ports they had in the base of their, kind of like Helm's Deep. Yeah. They had these sally ports down at the bottom, and they released a bunch of repulsors and predators and anyways, at that point it becomes kind of a bolter-y thing, a fighting thing. But it's a fun story with some good exposition on how Space Marines work. Interestingly, there's not a whole lot of Orc or Space Wolf exposition here, but it's tangential, right? Like it's how the Orcs fight in this. They're capable of grinding an enemy down, especially an elite force with small numbers.
Yeah.
And they're really hoping that the Space Wolves come to save them, or the rest of the chapter comes to save them. But unfortunately, later on, I believe it's talked about in the actual novelization, or sorry, the
in the audiobook.
Audio drama.
Yeah.
The Space Wolves do come upon this world, and it is wiped out. Not only is it wiped out, but the Orcs have defiled the chamber where the gene seed is stored. So,
ooh, okay.
Yeah, even though there are some obsidian jaguars out there in the galaxy, it'll take them an eternity to replenish their gene seed stores. It's a catastrophic event.
Wow. Okay. I was hoping that there would be like some more detail on this chapter, because it's got a fascinating name. It's got a fascinating.
Yeah.
It looks like it's based off of kind of the Aztec, culture, etc. Or maybe not based, but there's hints.
I looked up some of the words on Google, and some of the words do have some really weird mixed meanings depending on what language you're looking at.
Yeah.
Which is, that's kind of true. Language has some parallel meanings sometimes from language to language. So it was kind of tough. I couldn't really narrow down which culture it was borrowing from, which is probably a good thing. That's what they try to do. That they try to make sure they're not appropriating.
Yeah.
Instead, there's just homages to certain things. But I think some of it was like Iroquois.
Yeah. Oh, the Algonquin language group.
Yeah, and so there's definitely a American First Peoples influence in this chapter.
Because you definitely have the Nahuatl language group stuff showing up as well. You also have the Obsidian Jaguar, which that's definitely an homage to Aztec culture and whatnot. Plus, there's some of the names that were the way that they were spelled. Does kind of does have hints of the Nahuatl language group. Yeah. Sorry, a friend of mine taught me a bunch of words and how to pronounce them correctly inside when I was a kid, and so I kind of became fascinated by that. So anyway, but yeah, the thing I wish is that there'd be a little more detail, just like, I don't know, color of armor, or maybe the chapter badge. That would be pretty rad to know about. Because it does seem pretty cool, and it does. I'm not going to do it because I've got blood ravens, but
what would be really cool is like a Pueblo, scheme, but with like a black jaguar, like a sweet black jaguar on a white field for the pauldron.
Oh yeah,
that would look pretty sweet.
I remember reading it. They said it was a blue-gray armor.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so I'd have to.
That might kind of work with.
It's like a tan white. Yeah, like a yellow based white, not a blue based white.
Bone. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's. Let's get moving. Let's keep going on before we sit here and turn this into the Obsidian Jaguar episode. So the next one up is The Feast by Dirk Wiener. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name.
Well, that's how you pronounce it.
Okay, cool. That's how I'm pronouncing it.
I'm pretty sure it's Wiener, but I'm going to pronounce it Wiener.
Okay, well, I'm not even gonna. Well, yeah, I'll leave it alone. So
I love how you vocalize how you're going to deal with my nonsense. That's good.
yeah, that's how I work in the studio too. So I'm gonna. So what I did was Adam provided show notes for everything, and I went in, kind of added my own viewpoints or whatever. Mm-hmm. And on this one, I found it kind of an interesting story, but kind of a throwaway. Like it feels like there should be more narrative. Like the storyline should be pushed farther than it is. Yeah, here we're going with my music nerd stuff. Like in opera, you have a recitative, which is a vocal piece that tells the story. It's not overly dramatic. It's not overly virtuosic. It's just there to go through and push the story ahead. And in a way, this kind of reminds me of a recitative, but it doesn't push the story ahead as far as I think it should. I'm not. It's
what it does. I think I agree with you.
Yeah, like it could push farther, but it just doesn't. I think was it 2 pages? Maybe
it was very short.
Yeah,
it provided an example of a rune priest receiving a vision.
Yeah,
or at least like delivering a portent, which I thought was interesting. But
in the middle of a feast too, not like this isn't
what this story does is make an attempt at selling you on purchasing and listening to Saga of the Beast by David Annandale.
Oh,
it sets up that whole thing.
Oh, okay. So there's stuff I'm missing here because I haven't listened.
There's
to that.
Context. Yeah, there's context.
Okay.
So this is a setup, and I assume that when they put out this story, there was also like text at the bottom that said, "And if you like that, check out the new David Annandale audio drama. It's pretty cool." So
I might go ahead and pick that up then.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I really the voice acting is incredible.
And this is an audio drama, right?
Yeah, it's an audio drama. It's a long one. It's like it's like a 4-hour audio drama or something. It's long.
Well, I saw on iTunes it was like 4 hours and 20 minutes. So
and I used an Audible credit for it. So
yeah. Oh, okay, so it's worth it. Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, I might do that. That might be something I go listen to.
Would you like to also take on the Call of the Pack?
Yeah, I'll take on Call of the Pack. So yeah, Call of the Pack. Space Wolf of the Death Watch is called to return to the pack in this really cool psychic vision of a black wolf and a horned beast fighting to the death. Oh, this is by Elliot Hammer. Sorry, the Call of the Pack by Elliot Hammer. The Watch Captain grants him permission to return to his pack. Another real short one. You have the Space Wolf who's kind of getting into it with his sergeant, who's a Imperial Fist, and you can tell that they're just about one paragraph away from cutting each other's heads off. And tell me I'm wrong, but I mean, it was at the point where just like either they're going to kill each other or they're going to kiss, and I don't know which one. I don't. Yeah. And what's really cool is that the Watchmaster, who's a White Scars, Marine, just comes in and breaks it up, just stops it, just gives this really interesting allegory about how the hawk, the human and the hawk on hunting on the steppes, and how you need to let the hawk go sometimes, but you can't let the hawk be by itself. Really interesting, philosophical commentary. When I was first reading it, that first, half page, first couple of paragraphs, I thought that the Space Wolf was going to go through like a psychic transformation into a wolf priest. I was like, this is going to be so cool if this happens, and it didn't. And I was like, well, that's fine. So yeah, that was an interesting one. But the White Scars Watchmaster was fascinating. I really dug that one. So yeah, and that's the end of Saga the Beast. Next up, we have Engine War. And
yes, we are moving on to Engine War.
I liked this short story a lot. In fact, I have a whole bunch of notes, don't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So, it's the first one is called The Cleansing Light by Colin Cuban, or Cubone. I'm not sure if he's named after a famous Pokemon, but anyways, I thought the name of the transport that this story is based on, the iambic Coriolan.
Yeah.
Like, I know iambic from iambic pentameter.
Yeah.
From made famous by William Shakespeare. It's also short, or sorry, it's the root word is iambus, which is in Greek, or sorry, in Latin, has more to do with attacking verbally. Or sorry, in Greek, it means to attack someone verbally.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know what a Coriolan is. So, if anybody knows what the hell they're talking about, let me know, because it's fascinating. So this transport has come into the Metallica system, and it's one of the really far out worlds in that system.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the station is... I thought it was really cool how this story showed how the different Forge worlds are in competition with each other.
Yeah.
For knowledge and everything else and resources. And they don't trust each other.
Right.
And the fact that this space station was actually built on Mars makes it an untrustworthy location.
Yeah, there's a quote that I pulled out that said, "This station is of the red planet. We cannot assume the compliance of its machine spirit."
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that set that up pretty quick. Yeah.
So when they get there, the space station is dead. Almost all the servitors are destroyed.
Yeah.
And the Magos. So here's the thing. This place is actually housing a crypt with this super weapon called the Radiant Wrath. So they're looking around for it. And the only living thing they find this cryo chamber, or sorry, a stasis chamber, and they open it, and out steps this just a random Skitarii Vanguard.
Yeah.
Just steps out. What's up, fellas? And then their flesh starts decaying. So apparently this Skitarii Vanguard, for whatever reason, which they generally radiate some kind of powerful destructive radiation. They don't live long. But this radiation is even more... It's anathema to anything alive. You know, it strips flesh and causes mechanical malfunctions. So by the time the iambic Coriolan gets to its target, the world of Scorifex, where chaos demons are running rampant, the idea is for this Radiant Wrath to be deployed on the planet and just wipe out all life.
Yeah.
In the hopes of reclaiming the machinery at a later time.
Yeah, that was kind of this story was kind of messed up.
Yeah, because by the time they get there, all the tech priests have had to replace most of their limbs and stuff, and they've had to regenerate their brains.
Yeah. One of the tech priests, I think, was basically just gone. Like he, he's just kind of a shell of his former self. And the other tech priest she could tell she was losing everything. You know? So it's a really interesting story. I thought that was a fun one. I think Colin Cubone did a really, really good job of not only having an interesting premise,
a good plot, but
Yeah.
also weaving in the exposition that we so crave. So, yeah, it's probably one of the best stories of the bunch, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, there's some other stuff in there, like they had to go search for it to find this ship. And what I found interesting about where it was located was it was basically decommissioned and just left at the edge of the Forge World system. But the Forge World didn't know it was there. It's like, we're just going to put this really super secret weapon over here. And it feels like almost as if, the ship and the Vanguard Skitarii was left there as a possible solution if the Forge World became too unruly and needed to be eliminated. That's kind of what I saw it as being okay, fine. You guys are being terrible. Here's this thing. You got, here's a peace offering, And as I was reading it, I mean, I really dug it because there's a lot of nice detail, but it wasn't like detail that was over the top. Because sometimes you get that where they start talking about, the details on the mechadendrites and stuff, it just gets too much, and this didn't go into that, so I really did dig this one, and I think it could be like a really interesting possible scenario for a solo Mechanicus player, like boarding this ship and trying to find this, or using this character as a almost apocalypse level character. You had to write something for it specifically. But yeah.
I love what you just said about what this station was. It's possible that it was quote unquote gifted to this Forge World, to Metallica, but it contained this terrible insurance policy for Mars. Like if Metallica ever turned traitor, they could release this plague upon them that strips all their flesh but maintains all the mechanical bits for later recovery.
Yeah.
That's really smart. All right. You wanna
I'll take
Cargo Bay SETI 78? This is a good one.
Yeah, so this is Cargo Bay SETI 78 by Dirk Winner, whatever. I will say that every time I read the title, I kept thinking SETI Alpha 5. And when it's starting to scream out Khan, but I decided not to. All right. This is really a fun little short story. Basically, what tech priest who had all his cogs together would dare to anger the machine spirit of his vessel in this way? Belafonte asked himself. Basically there's this ship. Supposedly this cargo bay is damaged, and the tech priest, the head guy, Kroll, doesn't let anybody in there. Basically, this is off limits. We're repairing this. We'll get out. We'll go underway and repair as we go, which is not how the Mechanicus works. And it's why Belafonte,
everything has to be ship shape and
And so this story is Belafonte, this tech priest, trying to figure out what's in this cargo bay, and he figures out that the cargo bay has just one big giant thing in the middle of the hall by using a servo skull. But Belafonte had tried to figure it out in many different ways. And finally,
he would have done better if he had watched Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, yeah.
And he could have put like 100 boxes in the cargo bay.
Yeah, no one went down. Yeah.
And you keep it secret, keep it safe,
Yeah.
Whatever. He just put some top men on it.
Yeah. But
top men.
We'll leave that alone. And so Kroll kind of keeps figuring it out, or has basically, I think he just snaps and takes an not an elevator, whatever they're called.
A lift?
A lift, there we go. Sorry. A lift to that specific cargo bay, and the lift says you can't do this, and he keeps overriding, and finally the tech priest Kroll breaks in and says okay, and starts sending him very quickly through the lift and speeding towards the outer skin of the ship. and then tells him, what is it's a Varlean device.
Mm-hmm.
And, he said, I will tell you that, but it's not going to help you any. And he ejects the guy out into space, which I thought was really funny. I think I wrote down, what was it? It felt like a James Bond, Dr. No supervillain solution.
Yeah. I mean,
just needed shards.
You need hull access for repairs and stuff anyways. So
yeah.
But yeah, shooting someone into space with an elevator does sound like a James Bond supervillain type situation. And not only that, he actually does the whole supervillain thing by telling him what his plan is before he shoots him into space. But in this case, he actually does manage to shoot the hero into space, which is good. It's nice.
It was funny. I had a good laugh on it. I really did.
The device is mentioned in a YouTube video put out by Gamers Workshop talking about this book, talking about Engine War. So the Varlian device and Priest Dominus Krull are likely described in more detail in that book. One would hope. All right. So moving on to the next one, War of the Spider. The first story is Burden of Brotherhood by Duncan Waugh.
A great name for a GW writer.
So this one is a little clumsy, and I think we've had that issue with Duncan before. But once again, he's living his best life writing, and he'll only get better the more he writes. So the Brazen Drakes have this terrible infection where they express psychic power in times of hardship. And unfortunately, they are forced to be executed by their captain, by their chapter master. And the chapter master actually demands that he do it himself. Like, nobody else is allowed to do the executions but him because it's on his shoulders.
Right.
They call it the rite of purification.
Ow.
And the story actually shows describes a situation where one of the Brazen Drakes blasts a Chaos Ogre with mine bullets and destroys it.
Wow.
And as the chapter master is about to execute this Astartes who obviously has psychic potential in this rite aboard the ship, he stops and he decides that this is no longer something that they are going to do, and they are going to turn against the Imperium and go rogue.
Wow. Okay.
And unfortunately, like this realization or this decision comes on the heels of some fairly uninspired dialogue.
Okay.
Having said that, it's hard because these stories are really short.
Yeah. That's been the difficulty. Some of these are short stories, and
they're really short. They're not just short stories. They're really short stories. So it's hard to get nuanced dialogue and character development in that few words. So we can't be too hard on him, but it did feel very like, I am a Space Marine chapter master. Now I'm a Chaos Lord for whatever reason. So it was interesting.
Yeah, I know that we do talk about these guys in one or two more short stories, and I'm kind of curious what. Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit more. So, but yeah, it's these short stories. Sometimes it's very difficult to get all the information in, and they may have given them a
word limit. Yeah, they certainly did. I'm sure they did.
Yeah. All right, so next up is A Traitor's Trust by Dirk Winner. Whatever. I found this one kind of funny because First of all, Fabius Bile has stolen the Ark Cornu Contagious from the Death Guard. The sorcerers he has pressed in service in order to keep the fallow forces at bay have become a bloated mass of mutation, because that's Death Guard. His vessel, the Wretch, is escorted by 10 other trader cruisers. They are under pursuit by the Death Guard. Bile disables the plasma drives of the escort vessels and escapes, head for the Cadian Gate. Although his dialogue is somewhat weak, the picture he paints is coherent and evocative. I didn't have a chance to read this one, but what I did remember was laughing about how much Fabius Bile is disliked by his own legion. That they're, you know, it's
everybody hates him, and he's actually an Emperor's Children.
Oh, he is Emperor's Children. That's right. Sorry,
but don't worry. Yeah. What you said is not a lie. They hate his guts too.
That's true. Yeah,
but nobody likes him, and everybody needs him, which is the best. Wayner's dialogue is also pretty weak, and I'm like, I almost feel like it's because of how few words they're given.
I suspect it's probably that, because we both liked his other one, which was the Cargo Base 78.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty good. But the dialogue in that one wasn't great either.
Yeah, but the story was pretty cool.
He also wrote The Feast.
Yeah, which that's right. Yeah.
But anyways, he paints a pretty picture.
Yeah.
But he has trouble describing the picture.
Got it.
But I thought this was a cool look at what Fabius Bile's up to, at the very least. And this really does kind of try to sell the War of the Spider book, so that's fine.
Well, I've got the book. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
And we'll get more into those things later. And we'll be able to harken back to these stories when we cover them. The next is Consequences by Andy Clark. This is continuing the story of the Brazen Drakes.
Mm-hmm.
And the gray shields for the Brazen Drakes are being delivered by the Custodes to bolster the chapter. And they find the chapter has fallen to chaos.
Yep.
And this story has caused much discussion.
Yeah.
Throughout the internet.
There are a lot of people who are not happy with it.
Well, the Custodes insist that the new Primaris Brazen Drakes submit to censure and to answer for the crimes of their brothers. And there's a bit of an argument, and the custodians tell them to shut up. And one of I believe it's a captain.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. I think it's just like a random Brazen Drake says, no, we should be allowed to answer to this before we face the consequences.
Right.
And that dude gets shot.
Yeah.
And he dies. So once that happens, all hell breaks loose, and the Primaris Brazen Drakes are fighting the Custodes.
Yeah.
There's some really cool exposition for the Sisters of Silence in this story. And the Brazen Drakes, the other interesting fact here is that many of them did escape. So there are certainly Primaris Chaos out there.
Mm-hmm. There are now Primaris Renegades. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think in the future we might just still have Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines.
Mm-hmm.
This was just, as we've talked about in the past, this is kind of just a way to narratively upgrade them.
Yeah.
So one would hope that, in the rules too, it would be they'll increase the wounds and everything and the attacks characteristic of Chaos Space Marines going forward.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is a good way.
The models are already bigger, so
yeah. You can see in the Thousand Suns.
Yeah,
even
the new starter. Well, the newest Chaos Space Marine starter, like those new Chaos Space Marines, are pretty big.
Yeah,
I have a whole kill team of them, and they're pretty beefy.
Yeah. So next up, we are back to we're looking at Retaliation by Dirk, however you pronounce his last name.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to bring him on at some point, and I'm going to have to apologize. Okay, fine, whatever. Anyways, Retaliation. Inside the mind of a Calexis assassin, a Calidus assassin, a Vindicare assassin, and an Eversor assassin. I feel like there should be a joke about them going into a bar together.
No, they just went to the Brazen Drake's homeworld together.
Yeah.
And they didn't come back.
So they're after the chapter master at Corian of the Brazen Drakes. The Brazen Drakes are now called the Shriven, and they're aligned themselves with Fabius Bile, or if you want to call, Fabulous Bile.
You shut up.
We will learn more about them in the War of the Spider. I'm really, really interested in the Brazen Drakes and how they're... I'm more interested in the Obsidian Jaguars, of course, but the Brazen Drakes do seem pretty interesting.
Yeah, these guys are cool. And like... this was a really cool... I would read this story because it puts you in the head of each of the types of assassin prior to their deployment.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. It's really cool.
Well, I haven't read this one
like
yet. I'm curious about what the Eversor assassin has to think, because, you know, the lore behind them is they're just full of drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's all combat drugs, yeah.
So now we have the short stories for Pariah. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and these all came out in May, or like early May.
Yeah.
And normally the book is released somewhere in between the stories somewhere.
Yeah.
And this hasn't been released yet. This shows how much things were delayed by COVID. So just keep that in mind. Like, this has been out there for some time.
Yeah.
It's just there hasn't been a book to go with it.
Yeah.
The first story is Gone Dark by Derek Weiner. It's about a team of Astra Militarum exploring a dead, an undamaged Tempest-class strike frigate. It's a classic trope of the crew died of exposure and malnutrition.
Yeah.
Not that there wasn't any food on the ship, it's just they were put into this comatose state where they just eventually died.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's a cool representation of Necron infiltration on the ship. And all the creepy, like, they just do creepy stuff, and it doesn't seem like there's a reason for it.
Yeah,
like, why would they introduce this wasting disease? I believe it was today that this was discussed on Warhammer TV preview show that they have in the morning. And there is a specific name for this disease.
Right.
Or at least this affliction, and it does play a part in that story. So I guess we'll see. This might have been an early...
Interesting.
Manifestation of it. Then after that, we have For Every End, A Beginning by Andy Clark. This is the last story.
Yeah.
This one is super long.
Yeah.
And Andy really pulled out all the stops in his prose for this one. There are a few quotes here that I would like to talk about first.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Cesaros has a patron now. I believe his patron is the Silent King himself.
Whoa!
Which would make it would make sense going forward. And I'm sure they talk about it in the book.
Yeah.
But he's melded his mind with this boon given to him by this incredible new patron and his thoughts. He was already probably the smartest Necron in the galaxy.
Right.
And that's been enhanced. So here he has this interface that allows him to interact with the galaxy. and this is how it's described, laid across the architecture of Caesaros's incalculably powerful mind is a sizable swath of the galaxy. He perceives not only the material plane upon which his people exist, but also the energistic infinity that lies beyond it, and to which all sentient beings are tethered. Caesaros even observes the silken skeins of the Old One's webway, stretched and tattered as they are. He does not see detail. The Illuminator is not yet a true deity, after all. Still, he receives impressions, hues, subtle spectra, and data aurora that reveal precious information. The Illuminator suspects that any other sentient race in the galaxy would burn worlds for such wisdom.
Ooh.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, basically just having a map of the webway?
Yeah. I'm sure that Ahriman would love that.
So since he has this patron, he has to pursue the patron's goals instead of his own for now.
Yeah.
But that's not a big deal because of how much power he's been given. He doesn't really care.
Yeah.
He also talks about how the Immaterium is encroaching on the material plane and how it's mutating biological life forms. Chief among them is humanity. And his description is, still they reach from aeons, lost to dust. Still their refusal to accept defeat imperils us all. So it's just that fact that they're so... Humanity is so... it absorbs the Immaterium. You're like... And mutation.
Yeah.
And not only that, when it talks about... he talks about Oricon, the diviner, and who knocks him out of his reverie. He really hates that guy for some reason.
Yeah.
Probably because he told him something about the future that he didn't like. That's my guess. And so he glides down through his laboratory, which is enormous. He passes many specimens that are undergoing various horrific live dissections. And the human form one is really interesting. He talks about how the human form has an inexplicable cerebral resistance to counter mutative measures. So that begs the question: the Necrons have the capability of countering mutations in biological life forms, probably using their Blackstone or whatever, their whatever it's called. So, and the human form actually resists this. It's natural. The humanity is naturally accepting of mutation.
Yeah.
Which
that's interesting.
That's what makes us so able to adapt, but at the same time leaves us open to this kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, the orc form is pretty cool too. Yeah,
he says it's got promising musculature adaptation, old and so old and long familiar. So they've been dealing with the orcs for forever.
Yeah.
Hrud form, vexing temporal entropy, detrimental to disassembler armatures, troublesome. So they have, they say the Hrud have this temporal entropy.
Mm-hmm.
So
and they can't get in there to...
Yeah, they break down time.
Yeah.
And the Hrud have always been this... considered this dangerous species, mainly dangerous because of their ability to manipulate time.
Yeah. So
that's really interesting. Probably a good foe for the Ordo Chronos.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So he eventually, make a long story short, he comes to this stellar repository, which is big enough to like fly a tomb ship into.
Wow. Yeah.
The huge space has this prognostication machine, which it doesn't see the future.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not like it's looking into the warp and asking the warp what the future is like the Thousand Suns do. What it does is it perceives all of reality and looks at, since Caesaros himself has the ability to kind of tap into the sensory portion of this machine. That's what gave him the ability to see all that stuff all at once. So the machine can sense the immaterium, it can sense the materium, it can sense the webway, it can sense all these things and the movements of every being in the galaxy all at once. Mm-hmm. So it's probably the only point of view that has a frame of reference that's reliable. Think about it. Think about the galaxy and how time distorts because of the warp. And how every world is on its own kind of time zone. Like one world, it's 10 years after the Cicatrix Maledictum appeared. On a different world, it's like 100 years after.
Right.
Imagine being able to know, in an omniscient point of view, all of that information. So this stellar repository, what it really is its intent is to sense all of this at once and predict the things that are going to happen based on probability and also like entropy and everything that's kind of working together to predict outcomes. So what Caesaros is doing is, well, he gets visited by a few of his cryptex or whatever lord dudes, and people assigned to babysit him, right?
Right.
And they're like
his supervisors.
And he doesn't like them. And during their conversation, there's a warning saying that there's a huge human assault force coming. Mm-hmm. And this one of the cryptex is super smug. He's like, haha, I told you so. And Caesaros opens up his mind to this cryptech.
Yeah.
So that the cryptech can feel the emotions that he's feeling. And the emotions are satisfaction and like expectation. Like he was expecting this. He knew this was happening.
Yeah.
This is exactly what he wants. So the implication is that Caesaros at some point set up machinations to cause this attack force to come after them. So, and I don't think the whole point, so at the end of the story it says he goes off so he can view the attack from an omniscient point of view, so he can watch the attack happen.
Right.
What I think this means is he intentionally set up this attack force. He wants to see, and probably not even to destroy it. He probably doesn't care really about the individuals in this attack force, right? Mm-hmm. What he cares about is his ability to manipulate armies, to go where he wants and to fight where he wants. Even armies that are not Necron. Imagine being able to manipulate a hive fleet tendril to attack at a specific location. That's a much more powerful weapon than anything that a single Necron dynasty can attack with.
Right.
And it's really fascinating. I'm interested to see how this unfolds in the in the Pariah book, whether I'm right or wrong about that supposition.
Yeah, I'm curious at how. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Pariah book just because I'm just curious that I think it has some Imperial Agents rules in there, or maybe that's in one of the other ones.
Yeah, no, it's the one you want, dude. You want this book. It's got they're re-releasing the rules for the Inquisition.
Ooh.
I think. Which I think there was an index for that in a White Dwarf. I don't know.
There was a White Dwarf article last November, I think.
Okay, yeah, so it's due for an update.
I think it was a November issue. Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll have the new Inquisitor in it. I don't know how many of the rules are going to be duplicated, but
yeah.
people are saying, "Oh, it's just copy and paste." They don't do that.
No, and
like if you look at the Yanari rules, those change drastically.
Well, that and also there's a new Inquisitor that's being released. The I don't remember the name.
Shuriken. She's got a Shuriken, a splinter rifle, I think.
Yeah, and she's got a dragon.
Shuriken something.
Yeah,
something pointy ears. It's pretty cool.
And a dragon. Did I mention there's a dragon?
Yeah, there's a dragon.
Sorry.
No, that's an important point to make.
Yes.
What's the name of that Marvel little dragon? Sylphides? He's in...
Oh, he was in...
Excalibur, I think.
Excalibur. He was magic...
Excalibur, dragon, baby.
I used to know this guy's name.
Sylphide? Lockheed, yeah. It's named after the ship. So we'll name... His name is Lockheed.
Okay, works for me. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so... I've been looking at some of these books, and the scenarios are just... There's not enough. Like, if I'm looking at the greater good, there are like 4 or 5 pages devoted to scenarios, and there's only one scenario. They have a missions, a 2-page spread of showing Tau fighting Gene Stealer cults.
Right.
Then they have another page that tells you about what you're about to read.
Okay.
And then another page that's Theaters of War, Cavern Warfare, which is cool. That's a page. And then another 2 pages that have one mission. And then the mission section's over. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't pick up that one because it was Tau and something else I didn't play.
Yeah. So it's time. I think it's time to have an On Your Tabletop episode, one with lots of good stuff. I want to try to do some rules. So I want to put out some beta rules out there for you guys, and I'm literally just doing it through the podcast. So
yeah,
I want to start with getting the fleshing out the idea or not fleshing out the idea of warp ghosts.
Yes. I mean,
which I think is
that would
really
be cool. Yeah.
I actually borrowed some Night Haunt models from our buddy Tectonic Dan from Tectonic Craft Studios. He had a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to do some play testing with the ghosts. Unfortunately, COVID.
Yeah.
And I was holding off, like, no, we need to do this soon. Yeah. So I want to try out that. And I want it to be a fun way to add actual warp ghosts to the game, instead of it just being a kind of a stratagem that you spend to do mortal wounds. I want it to be more fun than that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking you could tie a lot of these. So some of the books we've read, like the Dark Imperium ones, talk about these saints that pop up. There's no game rules for them.
Right.
But they're popping up all over. And I would say that maybe it's their presence that manifests those warp ghosts. Or at least helps a lot. So I'd like to put in some rules for any character becoming this awakened saint. I know that sometimes it's just a mortal character, so maybe it's a template anybody can apply to any model. And they would add special rules because that like auras and stuff that cause the fallen Imperial dead to rise as these specters. Mainly because normally someone who dies gets sucked into the warp, right?
Right.
Their soul is consumed by the warp. And it would be really interesting if this psychic power, emanating from the Astronomicon, from the Emperor, and kind of reverberated by these saints, these kind of not dowsing rods, but lightning rods. Like these people are lightning rods for the Emperor's power,
Right.
coming out of the Astronomicon. So I think it kind of creates these auras of the Imperial will. And I think it would be, if anybody has any thoughts on how that would manifest on the tabletop, feel free to message us.
Yeah.
We're going to be including that in the next episode, but we'll talk about the next episode after the break. I guess now would be a good a time as any to wrap it up. Do you have anything else you want to add about the fiction? I think it was pretty good of GW to offer this for free.
It's a ton of stuff, a lot of really interesting, really cool stuff. There's some I really, really enjoyed. There's some I didn't enjoy, but there's a lot that were really good.
A lot of stuff that was just selling.
Yeah.
The new books.
Yeah. There's a couple of new authors now that we did not know beforehand that we can be on the lookout for in the future. See what sort of stuff that they come up with.
At the very least, they can come on and tell us how mean we are.
Well, now that I know that all those short stories in Saga the Beast, that area, all basically point back to David Annandale's stuff. It's like, okay, fine, that because some of those stories I couldn't figure out. They just seemed like opera scenes are just kind of dropped in there, but there's not much context for them. But now that I know that they work for that other,
a lot of context drama is assumed by the marketing of it.
Yeah.
Instead of the story standing on its own, it's the marketing of this, along with the story helps add context.
Yeah. And that's, when these were released or what, February, March, April, during time period when even during the regular non-COVID, I'm not really paying attention to stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
During the silly season.
Yeah. I'm excited for Pariah. I want to see what's in there. Wendy and I are going to go out tomorrow. I'm going to pick up Engine War because I have Imperial Knights and I want to use that. I won't be picking up War of the Spider, so I'll be leaning heavily on you to do the lore storytelling for that one.
Okay.
But maybe we'll get some more content sooner.
Yeah.
Rather than later.
Well, I'm curious how. Sorry, people, you'll get to hear this. I'm curious what you see about the Engine War because there's some things in there that I've read, and it makes me think that the Imperial Knights are going to be really powerful, and I want to make sure I'm reading this right. So yeah.
Well, the fact that they just get the full 12 command points right off the rip.
Yeah.
Makes life so much easier for an Imperial Knights player. Right now, it's tough to play them in matched play.
Yeah,
it really is.
Without having to do the soup.
Yeah, and in narrative play, they don't get to do any of the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to spend CP on those stratagems to do all those fun, goofy maneuvers. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and close out the show.
This is Rob Sanders, and you're listening to the Masters of the Forge, where the world of 40k comes to life on your tabletop.
Hey, mofos. Are you looking for more Warhammer 40k video content? Well, the Scarred Cast posts regular battle reports as well as tactics and strategy videos. Be sure to check out all the cool hobby content for the avid tabletop wargamer. That's Scarredcast, Skared on YouTube.
All right, welcome back. This is not the fourth time we've recorded the outro. This time, Quinn is asleep.
Yes.
So I don't have to hear him crying, which is nice. Unless this is what you tune in for, in which case I apologize. Jason's mean. So,
well, that and I can actually hear you on this one.
I'm hoping that we can get a lot of content out real soon. With the new edition coming, with Psychic Awakening wrapping up, and a bunch of other stuff happening. I think. Oh, and also you being off work for a little bit and stuff. Yes. We can kind of pay it forward and get some content out there for you guys. And shoot, I'm paying for the extra bandwidth. I might as well.
Yeah.
So the next episode, like we alluded to in the previous segment, let's do an episode talking about the lore of the next 2 or 3 books, and how it all ties together. Why don't you do War of the Spider for the lore? I'll do Engine War.
Okay.
And if Pariah is out, great. If not, maybe we should just table Pariah for now, because I think it's kind of a different. It's almost an entirely different thing unto itself.
Yeah, it might be a good idea.
In fact, I almost feel like Pariah is more tied in with the 9th edition release, anyways.
Yeah.
So we'll do Engine War and War of the Spider and talk about that, and kind of try to wrap up this Psychic Awakening series with some cool narrative missions. I'd love to get with you and play some games. Kind of have the thought to do a scenario for each of the Chaos Gods versus an Imperial force of some kind.
Ooh.
And to do these psychic these miracles, and have to do include a lot of miracles, include a lot of including the saints and the warp ghosts, and also including some maybe some demonic miracles, some how it goes back and forth,
right,
and maybe that'll be a lot of fun. I'd like to have some games with you to actually play test the rules, and that would have to be in the next couple of weeks, but I'm sure we can carve out some time.
Yeah, Tabletop Simulator.
Thank goodness for Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be a lot of fun. And so, but until then,
play the game the way you want to.
We'd love it if you could give us a positive rating and review on iTunes.
If you'd like to keep in contact with us, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter by searching for Masters of the Forge. And you can follow our hobby progress on Instagram with the hashtag Masters of the Forge.
You can also contact us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com if you have any questions, topic suggestions, or if you'd like to advertise your creative hobby endeavor. Thanks again for listening.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com. The music used in this podcast was made by Parad of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.